Be in the Bahamas. Yeah.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests and not necessarily the opinions of the owners of Global Communications Network and the
Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women.
Afternoon, Bahamas. Welcome to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I am your host, Michelle Malcolm, and as always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so much for tuning in and making GPS a part of your afternoon routine. So usually on a Monday, we have what we call a Masterclass Monday, where we dive into the Constitution line by line, article by article, with the one and only Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson. Unfortunately, due to personal reasons, the professor could not be here today. And so that left me having to plan a show for today, because usually when I know he could be in the studio, I ain't got to hide my head, because I know that's a full 2 hours of diving into the Constitution. And, but unfortunately, he couldn't make it into the studio today. However, after all of the response that we got from the show that we did last week regarding immigration, I thought that we would look at that subject again, but from a different angle. And so that is what we're going to be doing on the show today. I'm calling the show today Supply and Demand, the business of irregular migration. Supply and demand, the business of irregular migration. Now, let me just set the backdrop of what we're going to be talking about before I bring in the guests into the studio. Some of you may be old enough to recall an interview back in the day where then Prime Minister, the late Sir Lyndon Pinling, was being interviewed by NBC News about alleged drug trafficking through the islands of the Bahamas. And he was being interviewed by an NBC reporter by the name of Jane Pauley. And then a gentleman, a reporter by the name of Brian Ross, who the former prime minister had a little history with, decided to ambush the interview. He just showed up, sat on the side of Sir Lyndon and tried to ambush the interview. Now, Brian Ross was known for his aggressive tactics when it came to doing his stories. Sir Lyndon refused point blank to deal with Brian Ross. And there was a great video out that you should look it up, where Sir Lyndon really put them in their place. And one of the things that he said was that America with all of its resources, all of the money, all of the technology you all have, you all, with all of your advances, can't stop drugs from coming into your country. But you expect the little Bahamas, with multiple airstrips, limited resources, to do what you, with all your resources, can't do to stop drugs from coming into your country. And I remember he ended the interview, at least the clip ends with him saying, "Y'all got to be crazy." In typical behavior fashion. NBC, by the way, ain't forgive us for that yet. They still catching feelings over that interview, right? Now, what does that have to do with what we're talking about today? The point that Sir Lyndon was trying to make is that if America didn't have an appetite for drugs, if you didn't have a problem in your country with drug addicts seeking drugs, there would be no drug trafficking problem, because the drug traffickers would know that there is no viable market in America for these drugs. So if you fix your drug abuse problem in your country, by extension, you would fix your drug trafficking problem. Because if there's no demand, there would be no reason for supply. Y'all understand what I'm saying, right? If you didn't have such a high demand for drugs, nobody would need to be trying to traffic them into your country. Supply and demand. Simple business ethics, business practices, supply and demand. Business works when somebody sees a supply, sees a demand, and meets that demand with a supply. Simple business. Okay? So, what does that have to do with what we're talking about today? Well, we are applying that theory to our problem with irregular migration. And y'all notice I say irregular migration instead of illegal immigration, because I've been educated that the politically correct term when you're talking about this subject nowadays is irregular migration. Okay, so I can try to remember that. So America, if you didn't have a problem with drug addicts, with people having a demand for these drugs, nobody would have reason to be trying to import drugs into your country. By extension, we have a major problem with a large number of irregular migrants coming into the country. Why? Because they know that there is a great demand in this country for cheap labor, which they can provide. So they risk their lives to travel across the high seas. They pass other nations like Cuba to get to the Bahamas. Why? Because they know that there is a high demand for what they supply. They don't cross the border to go into the Dominican Republic, which shares an island with Haiti. They can easily just walk across the border. Why? Because the people of Dominican Republic ain't on their run. They ain't playing games with them. They got to pass all kind of other places to get to the Bahamas. But yet, they risk their lives to come to the Bahamas, with the ultimate goal for many of them to get to the United States, which is an even bigger opportunity. So what is it about the Bahamas that makes us different from, say, Cuba in the eyes of the irregular migrant? Well, that's an easy question to answer. They know that if they make it to these Bahamian shores, they can find work. So I ask us as a people the same question what Sir Lyndon asked Jane Pauley, with Brian Ross sitting on the side of him, and all of America that day, many decades ago. If y'all can't fix y'all problem with the need and the appetite for drugs, with all of the resources you have, what the hell you expect this little country to do? If you can't fix the problem, what you expect us to do? Okay. I want to bring in my guests. Jason, I need you to bring them into the studio. My guests today are Lincoln Bain. Lincoln has been very vocal. He and his colleagues within his party, the Coalition of Independence. But for the record, this is not a show about politics. Let's just get that straight. And also joining us will be a regular here on GPS, my go-to guy, C. Alan Johnson. Welcome, gentlemen, to you both. Can you all hear me?
Yes, good afternoon.
Welcome to the show, Lincoln. C.
Thank
Alan,
you.
Yeah, good
can
afternoon.
you-
Yeah,
all right.
I knew. Thanks.
Okay, we got everybody. Now, my laptop is struggling, so usually it takes me a little while to get it on my personal laptop. So for the beginning of the show, I will just be using the camera here in the studio. You guys heard my intro just now, my setup for what we're going to be talking about today. I'm calling the show Supply and Demand. Business practice. You have a demand that it needs to be met. You supply the demand. You make a lot of money. So I'm bringing that home to this discussion as it relates to migration, because there's a reason why so many people from so many different nations, not just Haiti, but mostly Haiti, but so many people from so many different nations are trying to make it to the Bahamas. They ain't stopping off for the most part in Jamaica. They ain't stopping off in Cuba. They coming to the Bahamas. And that is because they know that once they get here, they can find something to do. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Bahamas. It's always good to be here with the two of you, bright Bahamians and legendary Bahamians. First of all, I want to correct the politically correct statement that you made. It is not politically correct to make legal statements about a topic that is in the law and covered and defined in the law that is not in the law. I know I said that strangely. We made it. You made a statement, and a lot of people have started to make the statement about irregular migration.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing in our law that talks about irregular migration. The word irregular only appears once in the Immigration Act, and that's when they're talking about a certificate that looks irregular.
Mm.
All right, and that's in the Immigration Act. There's no mention of irregular migration in our Immigration Act. So we need to stop saying that. Americans can say that because they have a different scenario. Some other countries can say that. Illegal landing in our country is illegal. It is a criminal act. It is an act for which you can go to jail and or be fined.
So in other words,
it is
sanitizing
it is,
that. Sanitizing
say
it.
again?
I see. So in other words, no sanitizing it. It is
No, we cannot sanitize it. Section 47 of the Act talks about illegal landing and anyone who assists or aid and abet in illegal landing. So it mentions illegal landing, and it also defines illegal passengers. So it calls these persons illegal passengers who land in this country illegally. And it defines what an illegal passenger is in Section 3A of that Act. And it is clearly those persons that have come to our country illegally while not going through the proper process. Okay. And so we need not sanitize these things because we're now trying to get to the point we want to open our borders and let these criminals come in and do whatever they want. So we have to call it what it is. They are criminals when they come here and land illegally. Because if you go to Haiti and land illegally, it is also a crime there, and they will not call it irregular migration. They will call you a criminal and they will arrest you and send you to jail before deporting you.
Point well taken. What are your thoughts on this whole question of supply and demand?
In terms of supply and demand, it is very clear. I mean, you summed it up so well. Why they're coming here? They're coming here, one, because there are people that are going to northern Haiti, especially, and selling dreams to them that they can come to the Bahamas and live a better life, and also that they can come to the Bahamas. Some of them in transit to going to the U.S. And so there are persons making big money from this. I lived in Haiti for 2 years, so I know exactly of which I speak. This is not hypothesis to me. I've seen this with my eyes. And so there are people selling dreams to these people. And then they leave Haiti, where they live in apartments and they live in houses, and then they come here and they're living in wooden shacks and living almost like animals. And that dream that they were sold and that they paid all this money for, they don't get to live a better life. They do get to send some money home back to their family, but it's not like the dream that is being sold to many of them. I think that these human rights activists, who in some cases I believe are benefiting from this whole situation, that's just my opinion, I believe that they should be fighting to make sure that these children are not born in these scenarios, not born to have to live like this. But because, like you said, it's a big money-making situation, they're coming here. Now, it is very easy for them to drive from northern Haiti, where most of our illegal immigrants come from, and drive to Port-au-Prince and have a job and have a life. All right, it's very easy for them to do that, but because of some superstition about going across the mountain, etc., which I can explain later if you want me to, they don't do that. They just jump on a boat and drift to the Bahamas for this dream that is being sold to them. They don't go to the Dominican Republic. I mean, many of them do. There are a million of them there, actually, but they have to come the right way. And what happened recently was the Dominican Republic realized that, hold on, these people are trying to outnumber us. They're now getting vocal. They're now starting to get involved in politics. Something is going on here. They're trying to take over. And they realize, hold on, you can't just come here, be born here, and then have a right to vote, have a right to run in our parliament. You need to go home. And so they changed their law to say that anyone who was born there, they did it retroactively, which normally doesn't stand up in law, but anyone born here isn't allowed, their children, if you came here illegally, your children don't belong here, and you don't belong here. And they started packing them up and sending them back. So some do, but they go the right way. I know Haitians that live in Dominican Republic, but they just go the proper way. They don't have a shanty town. They live in a house. They live in an apartment, etc. And many of them did it since the recent earthquake and assassination. So what happens in the Bahamas is we have a slack culture. And so because these people are making $8,000 to bring these people here on a boat, probably $2,500 to $5,000 to give them a visa to come here and stay. It's big money, and if you really calculate the money, you're going to be calculating billions of dollars that is being made from this. So of course, when it comes to someone like Loftus Roca or Brian McCartney, trying to stand up and say, hey, we need to stop this, of course someone is going to get a call and say, hey, they're messing with my money, it's time to stop this. And so that's my opinion on all of it. It can be stopped, but because of the money that is being made, it is mind-blowing money. They're making more money from bringing people over here than they are making from the drug trade. Although this underground railroad, if you can call it that, over the water, they're also bringing in drugs, they're bringing in guns. And so that's more money that's being made alongside the illegal smuggling. They're smuggling people, drugs, and guns from Haiti. That's where guns are coming from. Even though the serial number might say the USA, Texas, or Florida, it came to Haiti where it's slack to get guns in, and then it ships to us. And so it's easier to get it in that way. So all of this big money ring is what's going on right now. And we have to stop it. Last thing I'll say, there's a connection between Colombia, because a lot of the Haitian immigrants are going to Colombia. So there's a drug ring from Colombia to Haiti, to Turks and Caicos and the Bahamas to Florida. Okay, and so this is a big criminal enterprise that is running on top of just what we're talking about, the innocent mommy and papi who wants to come here and be a maid or do ayahs. There's something else going on, and you can see the uptick in crime that is being affected in Turks and Caicos and here.
All right, Alan, let's hear from you.
I would agree with Lincoln in his initial statement concerning the legal definition. In fact, Queen's Counsel, now a King's Counsel, made an argument all the way to the Privy Council that they illegal, and charges must be pressed against them rather than simple deportation. So the argument has been made. I'd also agree that what has happened over the last 40 plus years in the Bahamas is absolutely deliberate. It's and I agree again with Lincoln, it's a multi-billion-dollar business, not only from the assets of smuggling, because they're smuggling money, they're smuggling people, they're smuggling drugs, they're smuggling guns back in a two-way street environment. But also from an economic standpoint, I just want you to understand, if you have the 50,000 illegals that they say in the country, and I just want you to use a simple thing of saying underpay them by $100. Somebody using that 50,000 has saved $300 million per year in salaries.
In savings.
In savings.
Right.
So I'm showing you where businesses profit from this, because this goes to our overall economic picture in the Bahamas. Now, consider also now that that you have the Bahamians now suffers a deflation of their salaries. They now save another $1.3 billion if you take into consideration the 250,000 people. So someone just from the profiting from the GDP aspect of it, you could save $1.6 billion a year. Now, divide that among the businesses here, and you could see the tremendous profit on a yearly basis. Now, you also have to because inserted there, we have to understand that when you begin to look at our GDP and our national debt, this is where we have this confluency and convolution of what our real figures are. Because what happens now, these people are not paid on the books in other places, so these are not factored into the GDP. This is why when you hear me have a conversation, I tell people our real GDP is probably around 16 billion when you take into it the off-book activities that is not documented. Like on the air, NASA Guardian, and other places, I have challenged the figures of the GDP, and they adjusted it from 8 to 10. And when they adjusted it to 10, publicly, this is public knowledge, I challenge it again because based on I'm a data aggregator, it came to 12.9 billion, and now that's the figure that the government is using. So when you begin to hear that the government start talking about we've brought down the GDP, the debt has not been brought down. The GDP has been adjusted up. So if I owed 100% of say $10 billion, and I adjust the GDP to $13 billion, now I only owe 80% of my GDP. So that magic figure doesn't change the fact of what we owe. But what happens though is that the solutions that we face in this country is absolutely easy. There's been a misinterpretation of international agreements, then I think we're going to talk about that, where we talk about the fact how illegal immigration hurts and depresses our economy. We say that we are obligated to provide them with education. We are obligated to provide them with medical care. No one anywhere in any legal fraternity or in the House of Assembly can show you where that international agreement says we are obligated to provide education, or we are obligated to provide housing, or obligated to provide health. These are human rights. We are obligated to make sure they have access to universal health care, that they have access to education. Nowhere in that agreement it says that it has to be free.
I've been preaching that.
Okay.
Yeah, that is correct.
Right. So this whole concept of what has been happening. Now, let me tell you where we are. We talk about these human rights and human trafficking and whatever. As it stands right now, the most heinous crime is trafficking in children. I'll put to you on the record. I want, if the media is listening, I can show you. Indirectly, the Bahamas government has been supporting and condoning child trafficking.
Oh man, it's a heavy statement, Alan.
Why? Yes, why? Let me explain that to you. When you go to register for education, let's first go to the law in education. First, let's go to the law of social services. It says every child in the Bahamas under the age of 18 must be in custody of a parent or a legal guardian. That isn't where you give your friend, your family, your cousin, whatever, no letter. A legal, bindable guardian. Now, so let's add all of this to children in the Bahamas, whether they to legal migrants, illegal migrants, or Bahamian. If we can account for where those children are, and then we open this door to the hospital as well as to education, that I can pick up a child off the street, walk into education and simply say, I'm the auntie, I'm the uncle, I'm something, with no documentation, and register that child. That is an open door for the very thing that we sign international agreements to do. We are not supposed to make backdoor opportunities. We could even take them to the hospital. And so when we say this is a broken system that can be easily fixed.
But tomorrow, my show tomorrow focuses on how to fix the problem. I don't want us to lose focus. So
right.
I don't want you to do my show for tomorrow today.
No, I'm just simply saying is that when you look at, you have to ask yourself, do the leadership in this country, who for 40 years has advocated this, and I want you to ask yourself if the so-called activists, human rights and civil rights and whatever.
All of them making money. Plenty. I shouldn't say all, but a lot of them making money from this.
You're saying to me, with all the legal advice they've had in the last 50 years, that they don't know that these are plain stated law? And so, in essence, if we want to so-called begin to run around about human rights and women's rights and all these other different things and citizenship rights, we don't let's have it make sense. Let's fix it all. If we can't fix the small things, then how can we fix the large things?
Okay. I hear you. And again, I don't want to go deep into how we fix it because that's tomorrow's show. And by the way, Branville McCartney has agreed to appear on tomorrow's show, as well as several others. So I'm looking forward to a really good conversation tomorrow where we're going to look at possible solutions as to how we fix this problem. But I think it was necessary for us to set the stage for why this problem is as big as it is, because it's all about the money. It's all about the money. Follow the money. We are making the mistake. And Lincoln, you said something earlier that I find interesting. You said that they could go to Port-au-Prince and find a job. So you're suggesting that jobs are available in that country, but they still choose to come here?
Yes, I am suggesting that. I'm suggesting that there are over 800,000 millionaires in Haiti. And even Dr. Nuri has been preaching that, who was the ambassador there, who's now passed. There are over 800,000 millionaires. They have more millionaires than we have people. And well, I've lived there.
I said that 5% of their population are the uber wealthy.
Yes. 5% of their population are extremely wealthy.
But 8% of them are millionaires.
8%. Okay. Go ahead, Lincoln. Finish your point.
Yes, and so when I say extremely wealthy, I'm talking about Brent Simonet kind of wealthy. And even most of them surpass anything that Brent Simonet and our white knights could even do. These people are billionaires, and I've seen it with my own eyes. And so I forgot what we were dealing with at the time.
No, because you had said that they could go to Port-au-Prince and find a job, but yet they still choose to come here.
Yes, they have a lot of superstitions about going across the mountain. It's kind of like there's two things. There's superstition about crossing the mountain, and like how we have superstition about the mermaid being in the blue hole, and Bahamians just have that kind of superstition, and like our people don't like to go in water that we can't see in. It's a superstition, but you can't beat culture. And so there's a superstition about going over the mountains. And when you go to the mountain, when you reach the foot of the mountain, they have the witch doctor there that you can go to, and they'll do some stuff with you and give you something to put in your pocket to give you safe passage across the mountains. And so they do that kind of stuff. And some people don't want to mess with that kind of stuff. Some people are Christians, they don't want to mess with that, or they don't want to do it. So the mountain is just a scary, nerve-wracking, legendary trek for a lot of them, and they don't want to take it. Now it's just a drive across the mountains, but they don't want to take that trek. And so that's one of the main reasons that they don't want to go there. And it's, if they do, they can find work, they can find jobs. But a lot of them just don't do it. And so it's a sad thing. It's easier for them to jump on a boat because of the stories that are being told to them, to come to the Bahamas and make more money, or to come to the United States through the Bahamas and make more money. And so this is some of the problem. Now, the next thing I was telling you about is that a lot of the people in the outskirts of Haiti, they are terrified of the city. They're terrified of Port-au-Prince. Just like many of our family island people don't like being in Nassau because they're afraid of it. You know, they don't want to be in, if they come here, they don't want to be here too long. And so that it's kind of similar, but even to a higher extent for obvious reasons. And so many of them don't want to go to the city because that's like danger town to them. And so that's why they don't want to do it. So most of our immigrants come from the north. Now, this is the recent problem that we're having, in that now, because of the turmoil in Port-au-Prince, many of the Port-au-Prince people are leaving and they're going to Dominican Republic, and then they can't stay there too long. And so persons there are facilitating. I spoke to one of the persons who was doing it as we were doing investigations. They're facilitating getting them a passage to Mexico and to the Bahamas. All right. And so that's what they're doing now. So now we're getting some of the unruly persons. All right, there's good and bad, you know, in every country. There's good and bad people in every country. I'm not trying to make people think that all Haitians are bad. No, there's some very good Haitians who are sweeter than anyone you might know. But there are some bad guys that are now realized that they can come here, come to the Bahamas, set up their criminal enterprise, or have their same unruly kind of Port-au-Prince attitude in the Bahamas. And so now I'm hearing that many of the Haitians who have been here are now having problems with some of these new ones that are coming, and they are having problems in the shanty towns, and they are bucking with the ones who have been here living with us, and that's the sweet mommy who you know, who just go to church and whom and work, and she's someone made no bother no one. But now there's a problem because, see, some of the children were in a bad situation because they were kind of stateless and they weren't really accepted in either society. And so it caused some problems for them. Some of them went into crime because they can't have a bank account, they can't have a driver's license. They were stuck in limbo. And so we understand why some of them might have gone, you know, astray. But now you're getting the direct gangsters. So when you watch these protests and these people being burnt in the street and all this stuff happening and all this bad stuff, some of these people are leaking in now. And this is what Trump was talking about when he, after Dorian, and he said, we can't let the Bahamians in because they let some people into our country, into their country that we don't want to come into ours. All right? And so that's what he was talking about.
For a second, he was also saying that our passport, understand this, I just want to interject this. Our passport was changed at least 3 times I think in the last 10 years, just because of compromise in it, and the United States government threat of not accepting it. Even remember,
more details on that, please.
Right. What happens is when you had the fake passport coming out of in Miami in the embassy, they literally had thousands of embassy and the consulate general, thousands. I know of one particular police case where they estimated 5,000 passports of Bahamians was issued, where Haitians were in America, and because we didn't have the biometrics and everything, you just had to have a blank passport, and the passports just started appearing. So what happens is you needed a passport to get an ID in the U.S. The rules have changed now with this real ID law in the U.S. But then you had these passports where you were just go to in the U.S. and show your Bahamian passport and get your ID, state ID, and other different things. And so we went to the biometrics. And after a number of years, even that passport began to be contaminated. And what happens then is we went to a second phase of biometrics. And even then, right now, there is a belief that this has been compromised by virtue of the documentation that we would accept as proof of identifications and affidavits. And so this is where, understand this now, the Bahamas has a visa-free travel into the U.S. And we have to understand when they begin to check to authenticate Bahamians for entering into the U.S., one of the reasons is that they're concerned about the contamination of our passports for individuals who would get it, who would enter the U.S. and not necessarily return. And so we are all paying the price for the contamination of our passport database because you can't differentiate. And so essentially from an intelligence standpoint, they're saying that because the Bahamas has the possibility of just issuing passport to even somebody coming here last week, we can't trust their passport. And this is why the extra scrutiny is given on Bahamians when they go into the embassy.
Wow.
Yes, that is correct. Everything he said is correct. I also wanted to add Someone said to me that those persons, those children who were born here aren't stateless. You are absolutely correct. I was talking about their mindset. All right, they see themselves as not belonging necessarily to either one at that time. Now, a lot of them identify as Haitian, or they choose what they identify. But from a legal standpoint, from their born, they are Haitians. All right, according to their constitution, and so there's nothing that anyone can do about that. Now, so the new ones that are coming in is a concern because we don't know who's coming in. And yesterday on my live, I showed the application that they have to sign. They just have to swear that they have good character. How do we go to Haiti and research and know who we're letting in? How do we know that one of those drug lords that want to come from there, or those one of those 87 gang persons, gang leaders, don't want to come to the Bahamas, establish a strong point here, even get citizenship by paying off bribing government officials, and then heading to Florida and having a whole connection. How do we know who is coming in? How do you research these people? There was an excuse for a lot of them that they had lost documents during the earthquake. I saw that with my own eyes while I was there, and even trying to hire people to do different stuff. They lost their documentation. You don't have a track record on who is who. So how is it that we're just letting people in willy-nilly, giving people passports who have migrated? See, the ones who were born here, if you're saying, okay, these are the people you're giving passports to, that's one thing. But someone who migrated here and we don't know who they are and we have no idea of knowing who they are, we have to be careful of what is happening. We are seeing that persons are getting more bold. Those persons are getting more bold. There's threats against Bahamians. There's violent threats against Bahamians, etc. We see where they're kicking Bahamians off their own land or crown land that was issued to them for the Bahamian to use. We have the legal immigrants are coming in, and some legal, and kicking them off their own land. Bahamians are being kicked off our land in this country. The police is not helping those Bahamians. The government is not helping them. Immigration is not helping them. They have no help. And that's why we're organizing to bulldoze one of those communities that is on the land where they bullied an elderly Bahamian woman who built this society. She decided to give them notice. Otherwise, we would have already been there. They bullied an elderly Bahamian woman. There was land right next to her, but a young Bahamian man was on another one. A police prosecutor was on the other crown land next to them. So they didn't fool with them. They said, oh, this old woman, we could bully her. And they cursed her out. They treat her like a dog. And they told her, get lost. When she come, they laugh at her. The government gave her some document to post on their doors, saying that in Creole, saying from Ministry of Work, saying that you all don't belong here, you all need to move, cease and desist. She put it there, they tear her down and laugh at her. But would the police go and help her? No.
Michelle, just let me make a point. Not only about people coming here, and I want to understand, this is not just a Haitian problem. We have Jamaican gangs, and we have other countries and other gangs and other people. The problem is that even when a person comes here, because of the lack of digitization in our country, they could say they've been here for 10 years. And bring any kind of fake documents by JP or anything else, and it is taken as such, because basically you're just giving an affidavit essentially, and we don't have any real checks and balances to verify documents, time, all those different things. You could even claim you could living somewhere because we're known for shantytown. Just choose a shantytown and say you've been living there for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And so again, these are all part of a defective corroded system that we have allowed to fester, and we don't seem to want to fix.
Okay.
Now, you made a great point.
Guys, we got to take a break. I am 17 minutes past my break time. So let's take this commercial break. When we come back, let's refocus. Because really, I need our audience to understand that this is big business. This isn't just happening by chance.
Country take over.
This is big business, and I want us to understand as a people as well that while it's easy for us to point at a broken system, and it's easy for us to point at the authorities, and easy for us to point at the government, and easy for us to point at Philip Brave Davis, but what about you? How about you, the Bahamian people, and the role we play in ensuring that these people will find work when they get here? Supply and demand, people. Like Michael Jackson said, I'm asking for the man in the mirror to check his own ways. We can talk about that on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Less is love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here, along with my guests, Lincoln Bain and C. Alan Johnson. We are talking today supply and demand, the business of illegal immigration. Both gentlemen corrected me and say I need to stop trying to be politically correct with irregular migration. I was told is a political term, but now they're telling me stop trying to sanitize it. It is what it is. The business of illegal immigration. The telephone number is called 3260271. 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, the WhatsApp line, if you'd like to send us a text message. Text messages only. It's 801-0271, 801-0271. We are talking about calling a spade as it relates to this illegal immigration problem, or the irregular migrant problem, whatever you want to call it. Calling a spade, because we have to realize that this goes so much further than just saying, oh, these people are coming here because they're looking for a better way of life, and oh, we need to be more compassionate. And listen, many of them are coming here because they're looking for a better way of life. And I in no way am encouraging us to be anything but humane to those who come here. However, we have to understand that it is our duty as citizens of this country to protect our borders, protect our nation, protect our culture, protect our way of life. Like Sir Lyndon said, if you ain't willing to fight for this thing, you don't deserve to have it. So this show today is about examining, though, the root cause. I like root causes now. I don't believe in just focusing on symptom, and you ain't touching the root cause, because unless you fix the root cause, you will always be battling with the symptom. And I dare suggest that the root cause of this problem is supply and demand. We have a caller on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hi, how you doing, Michelle? Calling in today on the show.
Hi.
I want to just voice my opinion because I blame all administrations, both past and present, for the immigration problem we have, because it could have been something that could have been nipped in the bud and dealt with. Remember, there was a man named Loftus Roker who warned us many years ago that we were going to have this problem today. Some people say that he was being too harsh on them and being too cool, but if you think we have strict immigration policies, you need to go check countries like Japan. And you got to protect your interests and sovereignty. Now, this is becoming a clear and present danger to the national security of the Bahamas and the United States, because like Lincoln said, I've lived in Port-au-Prince for 2 months. I've been to most part of Haiti that many Haitians didn't been. And I can tell you, I've seen the good part, I've seen the bad part. And let me say this, if we don't deal with the situation, with the gangs, you know, they have a lot of kidnapping over there, we don't want that to become a part of the criminal element in the Bahamas, where you have been Bahamian business people and tourists being kidnapped. Now, let me show you why I said it is a clear and present danger to the national security of the Bahamas and the United States. What happened if some of those guys and those gangs, militant, and they say they become radical Islam, and they decide to pick up a high-powered machine gun and go down on a tourist destination beach like Paradise Island or Jonquil Beach and just machine gun American tourists at will? Do you know what that'll do? That will destroy our tourism product overnight. Could you imagine, God forbid it happen, I pray it don't, but could you imagine if just those militant gangs from Haiti just go down, become militant, and you pick up a gun, a high-powered machine gun, and just mow down American tourists on Jonquil Beach or Paradise Island Beach 30 or 40 at a time? You know what that will do to our tourism economy? Listen, if we don't, and I've seen it under this administration. Now, I'm going to hang up and listen to your. Under this administration, I've never seen so many Haitian people all over the place. Every Bahamian got a Haitian friend, including me, one or two. Every Bahamian knows a good Haitian. They're good and bad in every society, Lillian could say. But what I'm seeing here now, a lot of people are coming, they can't even speak a word of English. How you get a Bahamian document? Under this administration, it's been an influx, and it's quite evident. I am calling it as I see it. Under this Philip Brave Davis administration, there has been a mass influx. And it doesn't seem like he wants to do anything about it. Because as the Prime Minister and as the leader of this nation, you have a lot of power under the Minister of National Security to deal with this issue. It isn't hard, it isn't impossible. I'm going to hang up and listen to your reply and give Lincoln and the other gentleman a chance to reply also.
All right. Gentlemen, I also want to be mindful that we have a cell phone caller on the line. So I don't know if you want to take notes as to what he said, and let's take the cell phone caller while we have them so we don't lose them, and then we answer both. Is that good for you?
Okay.
All right. Cell phone caller, welcome to the show.
Hi, good afternoon, Michelle. Thank you for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned supply and demand. That is true. That is true. When there is no supply, there won't be a demand. But Michelle, this is a national matter. Even if our people are providing jobs to the word illegal migrants, isn't it the job now of our government to enforce these laws, to deal with both persons who break the law, whether that be Bahamians or Haitian Bahamians who are living in the country?
Yes.
When these things happen, we have government in place who can make sure that we follow the laws of our country. We have laws, Michelle. We have policies. So when you talk about supply and demand, you're actually talking about persons, citizens who are supplying jobs and place for for them to live. But we have laws in place to penalize these persons.
Agreed. You don't have any disagreement with me there.
Okay, thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. A big part of our problem is we're not enforcing our laws, but go ahead, Cialan.
No, the big part of our problem is Bahamians don't know the law. They've been twisted, misdirected, bamboozled, led astray as to what the laws is and what's their rights and privileges. They've even been misled as to what leadership is about. They make it believe that as if though when you elect somebody, you give them ultimate power for 5 years. That is not so. People respond. In fact, I think on a few occasions, Lincoln has gotten government to respond in official writing. And so we have to understand is that when you elect an MP, we must stop screaming at the barn and actually go after the MP as individuals. If you have an MP in your particular constituency, the power still lies in you. You gave them the authority to act on your behalf, not absolute power. If they had absolute power, they wouldn't come back to you every 5 years. They wouldn't even respond to you as you go. But let me touch on something that Lincoln said, because it's very important as I speak to the subject of law. Where Lincoln mentioned this thing about stateless. It's very important that we actually have an understanding of that, even as it applies to the Haitian Constitution and it applies to the Bahamian Constitution. Because in certain circumstances here in the Bahamas, statelessness is a choice that is being made by individuals from Haiti, Jamaica, and other places. And what do I mean by that? The Haitian Constitution, under certain circumstances, gives the right to be registered as a citizen. I know we talk about this, even in the Bahamas, we talk about a Bahamian at birth. The Constitution defines the qualifications to be recognized as a citizen, whether at birth or otherwise. It's the laws of the Bahamas that transfers those rights to you. And so and when we talk about women's rights, this is one of the things we talk about, saying that I give citizenship to my son. I give citizenship to my daughter. My sister gives citizenship to her child. No. Nowhere in the Constitution it can be found that any Bahamian transfers citizenship to anyone, male or female. However, it says that if my father is a citizen and married to a foreign woman, if my mother is a citizen, then I am entitled to be registered. There's an entitlement or an enshrined right, and then there is a right also given in law. And so we have to stop this conversation and this misnomer in the public domain about as if those some woman give her child the right. No, it doesn't. A man doesn't give it the right. The Constitution says these are the qualifications for citizenship, and these are protected in the Constitution, and the others are not protected in law. Now, when you go to the Haitian Constitution, it also gives certain children the right to be registered as citizen, and then even in Jamaican law, to be registered as a citizen, even though they're not born in that country. And so, essentially, the fact that they may choose not to take those rights up, even the Bahamian law nor Constitution gives them the right of entitlement, they are now, by choice, choosing to be stateless. Because if you don't have a right to citizenship under the Bahamian law, and you have a right to citizenship by making application under Haitian law, and you chose not to make application, you are technically not stateless by virtue of birth or otherwise. You are stateless by virtue of a choice not to be registered as such. And that's basically for first generation born to Haitians born out of the country to Haitians. There is some their subsequent children can make that argument. One of the problems we have in the Bahamas is that we use this thing of saying they've been here a long time. The Bahamas is one of the only places in the world I know that actually sells citizenship and gives the people the money to pay for it. Listen to me carefully. The Bahamian government sells citizenship and give people the means to get the money to pay for it. What I mean by that? You can come here in the Bahamas, get a work permit for 10 years. They'll give you the permission to go earn some money and then bring us back some money, pay us a fee, and we'll give you citizenship. That's what it amounts to, no matter how we dress it up. So we have been paying people to become citizens, and you ask why. There is a group of people in the Bahamas who want a population growth. I am one that support migration, legal migration at first, but I want to take up something that Sir Lyndon Pillin said. In his statement says, if you're not prepared to fight for your country, you don't deserve it. He was talking about the one word, sovereignty. And so we are diluting our right to gaining sovereignty as we knew it. And we're surrendering it by action or lack thereof to foreigners from amongst us. And so there's a statement that says, very, very easy to understand. It says that if there's no enemy within, then the enemy without shouldn't faze us. The enemies we have for the Bahamas is within us, amongst us. And they're trying to get a population growth. But they want a subservient type class of individuals.
Yeah, they want cheap labor.
Right, by stealth. And so we have to have a conversation concerning, and I guess part of this will be tomorrow, concerning fixing these open, gaping doorways that we may use legalese that allows individuals to come here and work, come here legally and says, the person has been here a long time, so they have a right for citizenship. So just like it's me saying, I break into Lincoln's house. And
okay, but see, let's stick to that though, because we have a cell phone caller that's been holding for a little while. So, cell phone caller, welcome to the show.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
Ken and C. Allen. Very pertinent topic today. As usual, I would say, but especially because this is one that's plaguing our nation in a really bad way. To bridge on to what C. Allen was just saying, we have to get serious and how far, not just the leaders, even though the leaders are some of the people that are really making it worse or have been enhancing it for decades now, but how far does the human public want to go? I know we need to go, but how far does the Bahamian people going to choose to go to get this problem sorted out? Because it's a problem. And it made two examples come to mind over the few years or a few years. One is, and I'm going to call buildings, I'm going to make people responsible even though this is what it is, right? This is the reality of it. Mm-hmm. I was going to a bank teller at CB on Mackey. They were doing some work on the scaffolding. And I thought I was in the next country. I thought I was in Creole, I mean, no Bahamian in sight. I frequent the Golden Gate shopping center. The most menial task jobs or other type of jobs, but populated nation. Even though they're not so obvious, but some of them are, a lot of them are. I asked a very power-conscious woman who is, kind of good level in the society and known for her patriotism, a reference for a worker, and I receive a man with a heavy Haitian accent. How far does our people want to go to correct this problem? You're right when you say it's the bottom line. Yeah, but the bottom line in the service is laws, if men are given the right to make laws by God, and when that fails, then the primary comes into effect. God has to get in there and make right judgment, right justice. He is justice. And so men are being given the right to do right, to make right laws, to bring forth the judgment and bring forth justice. But in failing to do that, and I mean blatantly, and wrongfully, then you ain't gonna leave much chance for God to step in and make it right. Now you already saw that. I ain't gonna tell nobody that in this land no more what that means. 2 years still ain't enough, and let me tell you, we terrorize. So if you all think there's some kind of game, find out that. Don't do what is right, you leaders. Don't do what is right. You civic leaders, you politician leaders, you religious leaders. You all don't do what is right. And find out just how he can fix it again. Praise the Lord God Almighty.
All right, thank you, caller.
I just want to say, that they're asking the question of how serious are the Bahamians about this. And I want to say it's human nature, and more so for Bahamians, to not act until it's imminent. Okay? And that's why they have this principle called, how do you kill a frog? And that is you gradually increase the heat and the frog in the water. How do you boil a frog? Sorry. Alive. And you gradually increase the heat in the water, and that frog will sit in that water until it's too late for them to jump out, and they will be boiled alive. And that's what's happening to us with this immigration situation, because these persons chose to sit in the bushes where we could hardly see them, to places that we would hardly go. And they stayed there. And our politicians, comforted them and made money from them, made billions of dollars from them. And I'm saying billions of dollars to let you see how serious this is. They made billions of dollars from them while we were sleeping. And the Bahamian people aren't going to start acting until it's too late, unless some leaders rise up and the people decide to follow them. There's a book called Our Iceberg is Melting. It's by the people who wrote 1 Minute Manager, Who Moved My Cheese, etc. It's an allegory. And it shows some penguins living on a huge iceberg, and one of them discovered that the iceberg would melt, and he tried to notify everyone. And the first thing they did was laugh at him and call him stupid, ignore him, silence him, not let him speak at the openings, etc. And then as he kept speaking, and some people started listening, they started calling him names, like how we call persons who try to speak out against what's happening, xenophobic, etc. They started calling names, etc., until it got to the point where it was almost too late. And I'm calling out to the Bahamian people right now to let you know that we are in peril. All right? We are in peril. We don't understand how serious this is. See, the media doesn't necessarily cover what's going on in the Family Islands, because the media, they're not there. And so while these people are building up and building these huge communities, etc., the media isn't there to really show us what's going on. So we're focusing on what we want to focus on. But I'm telling every Bahamian right now, if you know the danger that you are in and your children is in, and this is not trying to scare anybody, this is a reality. Look at what Haiti is. And it got there through corruption and everything else that is going on. And the same corruption they are bringing here. Not all of them, but they are bad ones. And I keep telling people, listen, I have to put up with my bad child in my house. My child who is doing wrong, who is drinking all the milk out the fridge, and I got to put up with him. That's my bad child. I don't have to put up with your bad child, Michelle. I don't have to put up with your bad child, C. Allen. You keep your bad child in your house. And so if your bad child is coming in my house, I can close my door. And only my child is allowed in there. And we have to get to the point where we realize it's a crisis. Only because it's a crisis, we need to stop issuing visas right now. We need to close our doors because there's a crisis there, and we don't want that spilling over to the Bahamas, because we can see that Andres is filling up and the people there are crying out. Eleuthera is filling up. Harbor Island is basically gone. All right? Abaco is filling up. The Abaconians are crying out and saying we are outnumbered. This is a crisis, man. And I cry shame on this government.
Let me just say this.
Just one word. We're not just visas. We need to stop swearing in of citizens immediately until we.
But let me just say this. Lincoln said something that I want to, like how y'all corrected me about the illegal immigrants versus the irregular migrant. Lincoln said they're bringing corruption with them. No, Lincoln. We have corruption in this country. Far beyond what they bringing in. This is a corrupt nation. What do I mean by that? And I'm just putting it at the feet of the political leaders. Because as far as I'm concerned, the political leaders for many in many ways are nothing more than puppets on a string, dancing to the tune of the puppet masters who are the wealthy merchant class in this country, who run the economy of this country. Them 11 families who control this country as it relates to our economy. But I digress. But
yes, you are absolutely correct. And
hold on, let me finish my point. We have a problem with corruption at that level. We have a problem with corruption in the passport office, who's selling passports allegedly. We have a problem with corruption in the not so wealthy merchant class. Listen, man, sometimes I shop with a wholesaler that is owned by the Chinese. I walk in there the other day and I hear in Creole spoken all around me. Are they saying people who just come to the shop, they workers, right? So we have, and I'm not saying that the people that they hired are illegal immigrants. I have no idea. But my point is this: corruption in this country, multi-layered like an onion, my brother. It goes all the way from the top, all the way to the bottom of the person who's willing to hire the illegal immigrant to mow their lawn because they can save $120 over paying somebody else who is here legally, who could charge a little bit more. This is a corrupt nation to the core, from the top to the bottom. And this is why I take issue when anybody wants to put this problem squarely at the feet of our political leaders, because in my opinion, it goes so much deeper than that.
Yeah, I will say this. I've said for years now that we don't have an immigration problem. We have a corruption problem. I've been preaching that for years now. And the corrupt people that you're talking about, I have been fighting them for the last 20 years. I've been putting my life, my career, my business, everything on the line, fighting these same people for the last 20 years. So I personally understand the corruption problem that we have. All right. What I'm saying is I have to deal with the corruption problem here. When you mix their corruption that they are bringing, you see, that corruption goes to a point of no return almost. It's almost an illogical thing where they would cut off their nose to spite their face. Our corruption will go so far. All right. We'll only go so far with it. Their corruption is that we'll kill our president and destroy our whole country because we don't like this or because of that. That is another kind of mentality. All right. That is another kind of mentality. That corruption goes that we will cut down all of our trees to make coal. At some point, someone in the Bahamas would have said, hey, this is getting too far. We have to stop cutting down these trees, and the government would have cracked down somewhere. Over there, it don't matter. We cut down all these trees, and now all the trees gone. It's like, oh, all the trees gone. And that's the point of no return. The point where they would destroy their whole society. Us, we will smile and fake for the tourists and pretend no crime here and treat them nice and give them a good time just because we know we ain't messing with the tourists because you're messing with our economy. We have that in our thinking. But that side of the people, they will destroy and burn down everything. I'm not saying it's all of them. I'm saying that they are the bad ones who would do that. And these are the ones we need to be careful of. See, Alan had made a point earlier about there being Jamaican gangs here. There and also there's the Chinese triage working through here. You saw the drugs that was found on a boat, on a Chinese boat the other day. There's something going on. Yeah, but
we have a cell phone call on the line. And I don't want to lose that call. Welcome to the show.
Good day, Lady Malcolm and your guest.
Hi.
Very interesting topic. But you know what I would say? Talk. We've been talking for 50 years. And Lady Malcolm, I must respectfully disagree with something you said a while ago. Everything, 350,000 of us cannot fit in Parliament. So we elect leaders and send them there to do our bidding. Everything rises and falls on leadership. The other day, Mr. Minute said, lockdown 8 o'clock. What we did? Lockdown, leadership. You understand? So our leaders are 10 times more to blame than the corruption you speak about, which I agree with. You understand? But now, my suggestion is lock the borders for 3 years. Lock it. Not for tourists and stuff like that. lock the border down. Let's see who is here. Let's neutralize who we need to neutralize. Let's do what we need to do. And when we reopen, let's get ready for business. That's my suggestion. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, thanks for calling.
Michelle, let me say something.
This is why. Let me just finish this thought. The reason why I agree with him with the lockdown is because we're in crisis, and the government knows that there are legal activities going on. Visas are being sold, passports are being sold, citizens are being sold. Because of this, they need to shut it down. The fact that they're not shutting down shows to me, in my opinion, that the government is complicit and they are a part of this, and they are allowing this to happen. And that is why they're not shutting down our borders and protecting us, even though everyone is telling them everything is flooded. Just to see, Alfred says, go into Eleuthera and pretend that they are so surprised. Oh, look at the shanty town. We're going to form a committee and we're going to do, come on, man. Come on. It shows that they are playing with us. They think that we are our grandparents' generation and that we're going to continue to fall for their little tricks. Committee for what? No, you tell immigration to get in there, grab those persons that are illegal, investigate persons that have papers. We need to know where you got your papers from. We need to see the track record. Where's your file? How did this get built? If it wasn't built properly, we're going to deal with this. There is no injunction as it relates to Eleuthera. The injunction is for New Providence and Abaco. Break them down.
We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hello?
You need to turn your radio down, please, or whatever you're listening to us on, so we don't get that feedback.
Okay.
Just through the phone.
Hello?
Yeah, we're listening. Go ahead.
Okay. Boy, Mr. Bain, good afternoon to you, Michelle, and Mr. Allen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Bain basically talked on most of my topic. Fraudulent documents is a serious, very, very serious issue in our country and our islands. And then we have Bahamians, helping them to set up these documents, to fill them out. And, it's really taken away a lot from Bahamians. I don't know. See, people don't understand. Money is really the root of all evil. And money is going to cause this country be destroyed. I've been Haiti, okay? Now, they take our money, and listen, no little bit of money. There's been on one top of the hill in Petronville. Dirty as ever all around. People selling everything. And they get but 4 or 6 boxes of money there, okay?
Mm-hmm.
3 of them boxes is Bahamian. I talking about Kalek and Heineken boxes, full with money to the top. And they selling people money who's migrating from there, going down to Okai or going to La Tortue to come out on these boats.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And we have these people with sitting in power, with knows what's going on, because you know why? Like you, Michelle, and the rest say, they aren't in the cookie jar. But I want to say to all Bahamians, this is enough talking, man. I've been hearing talking from I was 7. I'm 49. I don't want to hear no more talking out of y'all. Okay? Y'all know what I say? Y'all stop this talking, man. Get off y'all backsides. Get out y'all house. Listen, lead the people job because they ain't looking out for y'all. So all y'all officers, immigration officers, all of the civil workers, all of the personal workers, all of the self workers, listen, get up off your backside and let's go to Parliament. Let's regain our consciousness. Because right now, we come like we losing everything. Listen, y'all get up off your backside.
All right, caller, you're getting a little hot, so I think I better cut you before you say something with pause.
Let me make a few points quickly.
Go ahead, C. Allen.
When Parliament's not meeting, go to your MP office, okay? Meet him where he is, okay, before you get to Parliament. Now, he says money is the root of evil, and it isn't. The lack thereof or the love of. Money cures all things, okay? Now, you talk about corruption. From a technology standpoint, the word corrupt means unfit for its purpose. That's most of us. And Lincoln Bain made a very important point concerning the frog. The frog adjusts his temperature in the water. But after the water gets to a certain temperature, it is the fact that he wants to get out, but his muscles suffers from a form of fatigue that doesn't allow him to get out as badly as he does. And that is what corruption is going to put us in. The things we have been tolerating is going to eventually get to the point that we're not going to have the strength to overcome them. And this is why we have to begin to recognize that the temperature of our environment has begun to change. And so what I'm simply saying is that we have this almost like a cycle. And we talk about the impact on the Bahamian economy, where we say Bahamians hire them to save money. And the reason you hire them to save money is because you have none. And the reason you have none is because you hired them, because you have depressed your economy by driving down the wages. And so the question is that if you are the loop, if you're the person who can break the loop, then you should actually move to break it. But the power that you have is not even to go down to Parliament. Yes, you go down there and enforce. But the power you have is to go and hold your member of Parliament accountable. Don't go alone. Take 5 people with you and invite 5 others to go with you. And then let them invite 5 others. And begin to know and demand what you want. You know, the important thing is that for you to become educated, and this is why I said you've been miseducated over the years, is for you to become educated of what the demand is. And if you don't know the demand, you can do exactly what it said. Demand that they pause and have an open, honest conversation, not one-sided, because oftentimes members of Parliament believe that if they lecture you, they have engaged you or others without bringing other sides and other view. This is what they've done. This is what they're doing with the citizenship bill. This is what they're doing with the women's rights bill. This is what they're doing with the sovereign wealth fund bill. You know, it's like it says. I want people to listen to this very carefully. Governance without consent of the governed is the definition of slavery. Governance without consent of the governed is the definition of slavery. You did not give them a complete consent on September 16th. This is a participatory democracy that we're in, and they are to engage you, not to rule over you. And we have to basically take back our power by virtue of holding every single member of Parliament accountable. If we as a community can get 20 of them to agree publicly, hey, you got the power of in your hand, you know, that smartphone. When you're talking to your MP, you have a right to engage him. You have a right to record him as a public citizen. Okay? And so when he makes a promise to you that he's going to do this, he's going to stand up, he's going to say this in Parliament, get it on the record. The only reason a member of Parliament would refuse to go on the record is if he is seeking to deceive you. A man that is giving you his word gives you his word. And you could say, a promise is a comfort to a fool under 2 circumstances. When a person makes a promise to you, you have to say, do they have the ability and do they have the intent? As a member of Parliament, they have the ability to stand up and speak for you. And the only other thing they could be doing then is not have the intent. So we
have a call on the line, Cialan. Take a breath. We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hi, how you doing, Michelle?
Good, how are you?
Well, one thing I do agree with. I think our government is being too soft on the Haitian government. The Haitian government have an ambassador here. I think the people who are in a proper authority needs to reach out and have a serious dialogue with him and let him know, hey, if you don't try and curb this problem, we're going to have no choice but to start leveling sanctions against Haiti.
What Haitian government?
Meaning,
what
Haitian government in the Bahamas? There's no Haitian government in the Bahamas.
A lot of these migrants are poor Haitian migrants coming here. I understand they paying between $8,000 and $5,000 to make those trips, those illegal trips on those boats coming here. Where are they getting this money from? Is Haiti so poor? Every time you go in a money transfer place over here, I dare you to go and check it out yourself. Go in there on a Saturday, on a weekend, and see the majority.
There's a lot of money transferring for sure.
Yes, the majority of people sending money is Haitians. They are fueling the illegal, in my view, they are fueling the illegal migrant trade. Because where are these people getting money from if they're so poor, living on $2 a day to make this trip? We need to shut down that money transfer system, and we need to close the borders and the flights coming in from there. Because now, and I've been hearing this now for a while, they were coming in on flights from Haiti, and they were coming in by boats from Haiti to the southern islands. Then they were being placed on Bahamas airplanes and other domestic flights coming in from the Family Islands, landing in Nassau. So it looked like they're just people coming in from the Family Islands. I've been hearing about this now for some years. Now, and this is such a problem now. This is a crisis situation. In a crisis situation, you're going to have to make some extreme measures. Yes, start hitting sanctions. Hey, we're going to shut down the money transfer system to Haiti. We're going to close the flights from going to Haiti. Because it doesn't seem like they want to do something with it because they're part of the problem too. Yes, the Bahamas has a part to play, all of us as Bahamians. Because this is our country. We're not going to go and live anywhere else. But a country that has some 14 to 15 million people could overwhelm us quite easily. Very easily. And our police force cannot deal with that.
All right. Thank you so much for calling.
Michelle, I wanna make you understand it. You talked what the original point of the show was, and it was about the money side of this.
Right,
And the part we didn't get to yet, we talked about the Bahamas side of it, and I still haven't broken down the kind of money that's being made on the Bahamas side. But you have to understand that in 2016, 25% of Haiti's GDP was from remittances.
I was just about to go there.
And in 2019, that increased to 36% of their GDP was remittances. And for those who don't understand, that's money that just sent back, wired into Haiti. And so that's over 1/3 of their GDP.
So clearly it is in their interest to continue to receive funds.
So they are encouraging their people to leave on these boats and allowing them to leave because that is how money is going to be sent back. The oligarchs will entertain and help persons to leave because then money is going to get sent back to the Haitians who are in Haiti, and the oligarchs who own the companies and businesses and wholesale, etc. They will make money, and money will continue to flow in the economy because of what they do. This is a business for Haiti. All right, it is a crime for us, the illegal landing, but it's a business for Haiti. And so, you know, I am on the wrong show. I should have been on the solutions show because I could have broken down our solutions for what's going on and what needs to happen. But one of those things, like the gentleman said, he said that we need to cut off remittances.
You're always calling, Lincoln. I can't have too many people on one show.
Yeah, I know. That's fine. Yeah, I'm on a good show. One of them is we need to cut off remittances. We need to immediately meet with the Haitian government and let them know that we are serious. We need to let them know that we're going to cut off remittances or tax it heavily.
But here's the thing, Lincoln, and then we got a call on the line. Here's the thing. The caller also talked about we got to talk to the Haitian government. And I said, what Haitian government? Because right now, the gangs are the government over there. They are having a hard time just holding on to their government over there. So
let me help you understand what's happening there. A lot of Bahamians don't understand because they can't understand that culture. It doesn't make sense to them. All right. In the Bahamas, when election time comes, the politicians go to the community leaders, or we call them the gang leaders, the street fellas, and those are the persons with influence, and they give them money to kind of put on the street and to get influence. We do that here in the Bahamas. And so we do that with people in the community, and that's how we get advantage of politicians. In Haiti, they do it with the gang leaders, all right? But their situation is a more violent situation. They try to control the neighborhoods, and once they get a neighborhood in control, most of the people are going to realize, oh, well, this gang leader controls things, so I'm going to vote for who he tells me to vote for. It's crazy, but that's what people do. It's kind of like Bahamians, because a politician gave them $200, they feel like, oh, I got to vote for him because he gave me $200. It's stupid to Americans, but to us, somehow it makes sense.
It's a cultural thing. It's a
right. So in Haiti,
right now, I come to you right now, caller. Go ahead, make it
right. So in Haiti, the gangs control, but who controls the gangs is the oligarchs get the politicians who control the gangs, and the gangs are right now trying, because the election is coming up. That's why all this blew up. They're trying to control the streets, all of their streets, and once they get control of the streets, then you're going to see an election pops up all of a sudden.
So
that's really, I tried to put it in a nutshell just now.
So we go back to the problem of puppets on a string. We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
To Michelle and your guest, Lincoln and Alan. Our problem, the solution to our problem to me seems as if to be right here at home, not within Haiti. We need to, first of all, start with our government, with our parliamentarians, and not letting any of our foreign influence our government for anyone to allow all of these things to be going on. And most of all, we need to rid our government agencies of all foreigners and corrupt employees included, and especially those that involve our national security. We have immigration, we have our police force, our armed forces, and institutions like NIB, Department of Social Services, Department of Correction, and all of these agencies. We need to, first of all, stop the infiltration of foreigners in these agencies and all of the corrupt ones.
We need forensic audits. We need forensic audits of all of our systems that have anything to do with immigration. We need forensic audits in this country, desperately.
Yes, and so, we shouldn't even have any parliamentarians sitting in our house who are being charged or being involved or allegedly being involved in corruption to be sitting in while they are on charges, and then we have those of us who family influence them to either go one way or do special favors for them, so we need to get at the root of the problem. Our problem isn't in Haiti. Our problem is right here in our country. Corruption.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
All right. Listen, caller, I got to take a break. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Let's take, we got to pay our bills. So let's take this commercial break. Make sure my sponsors get their just dues. And then on the other side, we're going to continue this conversation on supply and demand, the business of illegal immigration. Stay with us.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for rims, paints, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here, along with C. Allen Johnson and Lincoln Bain, who, there he is, coming back into the shot right now. The telephone numbers to call 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. WhatsApp line. People don't call. I need a recording just to say, don't call the WhatsApp line. Because as many times as I say that, people still calling the WhatsApp line. I cannot answer the WhatsApp calls, people. That's for text messages only. 8010271, 8010271. Now, guys, I want to throw out a scenario because the topic of the day is supply and demand, the business of illegal immigration or irregular migration. Now, I want to throw out a scenario. We all are familiar with the Bible story of Jacob and Esau. For those of you who don't read your Bible, for those of you who are Christian like the rest of us in the Bahamas, Jacob and Esau were two brothers. Esau was the older brother who, according to Jewish law, had the birthright by virtue of being the firstborn. Jacob was the secondborn, who wasn't entitled to some of the things that his brother was entitled to as a firstborn, but he was a trickster. So the older brother comes in from the field one day, famished, tired from hunting, whatever. And the younger brother is cooking this bowl of porridge, this porridge. And the older brother says to him, "Yeah, man, give me some of your soup. Give me some of your porridge that you're cooking." And the younger brother says to him, "I'll give you some of this porridge only if you sell me, if you give me your birthright, if you turn the rights of your birthright over to me." The older brother says, "What good is my birthright if I can die of hunger anyhow? You could have that." And so he turns over his birthright for a bowl of porridge. Now, later on in the story, where the trickster tricks their old father, who could hardly see, into also giving him the blessing that was supposed to go to his older brother. His older brother decides, "I can kill this dude because he stole." The words he used was, "He stole my blessing and he stole my birthright." But with all due respect, Jacob didn't steal his birthright. He gladly gave away his birthright for a simple bowl of porridge. The Bible says he despised his birthright. Now, we got some Bahamians in this country who are willing to marry somebody. I remember the case of a young lady that was brought before the courts for fraudulent marriage, and she admitted that she married this foreign man for $1,500. Sell her country out, commit an act of treason, gave away her birthright for $1,500 little because she despised the birthright of all Bahamians to own and possess this land where God allowed us to be. That, to me, is a major part of the problem in this country when we're talking about this problem of illegal immigration. We got far too many of us who are willing to give away our birthright for a bowl of porridge. We despise what we have been granted. And then we want to get vexed with the people at the end of the day who now have the birthright, even though we willingly stand by and turn it over to them. I will use this as an example. Fish fry. I said this on the show last week. I hear people complaining, "Oh, everywhere I go to fish fry, I hear in Creole, all these Haitians everywhere, all these Haitians taking over." Who give them the right to be a fish fry? Bahamians were owners and operators of the fish fry businesses. I remember hearing no story, but no Haitian going to fish fry with no gun and putting no gun to nobody's head and saying, "Give me this business so I can kill you." So Bahamians gladly, willingly, knowingly sold out their culture in that instance for a bowl of porridge. So who I can lay the blame at? The Haitian who recognize what we have and decide to do whatever they got to get it? Or the Bahamian who so willingly giving away our birthright, selling our birthright for a bowl of porridge? Who is to blame in this scenario? I coming off my soapbox now. Let me hear from you all.
Okay, let me
So
just say,
like, go ahead.
let me just say, one of the things we have, right, and the reason why I just use the marriage as an example, we don't have the penalty that fits the crime. Marriage, by virtue to transfer citizenship or the right to be here, to me, is borderline treason. And this fine and whatever else, when we begin to understand what our sovereignty is, and the very fact that you're not giving citizenship a gateway to one person, you're giving derivative to possibly tens of thousands of individuals. Derivative citizenship is where I get citizenship and it doesn't end at me because our laws are not strong enough, and I can hand it off to other people through marriage, through giving birth, not even in the Bahamas, by through adoption and other means that we have the capability of. And so we have to understand is that there's multiple doorways that we are giving them. And I'm not just talking about Haitians, I'm talking about foreigners as a whole, to slowly and stealthily take over our country, even for those that comes with the money. We have to have a citizenship conversation. And Mr. Bain started that conversation in some extent, or bringing it front and focus, that we have to have a conversation that involves the citizens. And I'm not talking about no special interest group where you talk to some reverends or you talk to some activist group or something of that sort. I'm talking about talking to the Bahamian citizens involved in something that's so fundamental to our very existence. And so understand, when you give somebody citizenship, and let's say they have children in Jamaica, they have children in Haiti, you have given those children a right of passage into the Bahamas as citizens also. And so we have to understand that we have as much threat from our immigration as we have for global change and climate change and global warming. And so here it is, we are trying to decrease our population, our impact, by increasing it with foreigners. So at the same time, while the Bahamas, according to the global experts, is being reduced in size due to global warming and land loss. And so the very land that we have is very important to us. And so we must absolutely declare from our leadership individually and collectively, as MPs, FNM, and PLP, and opposition forces. Now understand this now, Her Majesty official opposition, notice what it says. That's the official opposition, but that means that it implies that there's also other opposition that not necessarily have to sit in parliament. But we have to allow this divide and conquer. We see this where they say, oh, we'll consult with the people in Abaco as to what to do about the shantytown. No, the shantytown problem in Abaco is all of our problems on every single island. The harbor going in Andres is all of our problems. But what they do is they get us into small group that they can control opposition and manufacture consent. What do I mean by that before I end this and give Lincoln an opportunity to talk? Control opposition is where I choose the people who will oppose me, and then I tell you, sit down, these people over here is doing it for you. Just sit quietly. And then what those people do is they manufacture consent by saying, I talked to the people, and this is what they said. They said it's okay. And this is why you have a small group of people who say, well, they've been here long enough, give them citizenship. They've been long here, legalize them. All these different things. Then you have a convolution and conflation of stories of what the Constitution says and what the laws of the Bahamas says. And I'm telling you, Bahamian people, there is no defect in our Constitution. However, there are defects in the law. And even when you go to where you say, if you're born in the Bahamas, where that is not an absolute, I think it's number 7, born in the Bahamas to foreign parents, go and read it, and don't read part 1, read part 2 and other things. Then you will see that doesn't gives you no guarantee absolute. Is subject to public policy and subject to national security. So this concept that once the Constitution says you're born in the Bahamas, you have a right to be registered, is a lie from the pit of hell. And so the mere fact that they get you to sit small and do whatever. If public policy is my mother must be wearing a red panties and a blue socks at my birth, and if she is not, guess what? I'm not entitled to citizenship. And so what they do is they use the law of omission. And so the mere fact is that we could create laws right now that simply says that the person must be legal in the country and all these other things. We can also make laws that they must pay their medical bills and education. We could fix these. These are some very small problems. What happens is they're choosing who oppose you. They are manufacturing consent by basically not giving you the proper information, and it's right there. And even when you read, they tell you the Constitution is this complicated document. Let me tell you what it means. It is pure garbage what is being said. And what you need to do is when you have conversation, invite people. And if I'm wrong and Lincoln is wrong, the best way to set us correctly and correct us is in the public domain so we can shut up.
Go ahead, Lincoln.
All right, Seattle and Georgia, you were perfectly on point just now. It was beautifully and well said. Going back to what Michelle was talking about selling your birthright. This has been the problem that we have had in this country, that we've sold our birthright, but not just that the people have sold their birthright, because Bahamians are a very passive people. We are a very subjugated people, and we will do what our leaders say. We will not go against our leaders. Once they do it, I mean, we'll make noise and talk. Once they do it, well, what you're going to do? They've done it. So I put the blame at the foot of the leaders because it's them that's been selling out. There were times when persons have tried to make change, and it was the leaders who called them. It was Pillen who called Loftus Roker and told him to stop. It was Ingram who called Brian McCartney. He can confirm that for you and told him to stop. It's the leadership. And so the problem that we've been having is corrupt leadership in this country. We have put the wrong people in power. Both the finances of the Progressive Party and the Free National Movement have benefited from this illegal immigration situation. It was oligarchs from both sides that have benefited from this illegal immigration. That's where the business is. And people say don't politicize things, but every one of our laws puts a minister in, give the minister the last say, including the Immigration Act. It puts the prime minister in section 5 of it. The prime minister is over the board. He presides over the board. So the prime minister can't pretend he doesn't know. There is no citizenship that is passed out that doesn't go to the prime minister. There is no permanent residency that goes out that doesn't go to the prime minister. The prime minister has the last say. They always use this cop-out by saying don't politicize, but all of our laws, including our new carbon credit laws, but that's another story, the prime minister or a minister is put in charge of it. And so the blame goes at the foot of every single prime minister that we have had in this country. The immigration problem is a political problem, and it is a corruption problem. And so we have to blame both of them. So if you want to see changes related to this, the only way to change this, you saw that the mud and the pigeon peas was across the street from from immigration. It was across the street from immigration. And one of the persons who owned part of it was a politician sitting in the House dealing with the prime minister and the rest of them almost on a daily basis. All right? We see the politicians pushing for and fighting for these illegal immigrants at every turn. And so the only way you're going to get change is to remove both the PLP and F&M. And I'm not saying that because I'm now in the political fray. I'm an activist. And I'm standing up for Bahamians by saying this. I see where the problem is. The F&Ms have allowed this to happen, and the PLPs are now encouraging it to happen. All right? And there's no way around this. So we can sit down in the show tomorrow and talk about solutions all we want. Our laws don't even need to change as it relates to immigration. We have all the laws we need right now, right on the books. I can sit you down and show you where we can deal with this based on the laws we have right now. But the problem is, who's enforcing the laws? If the enforcers of the laws just say, leave that alone, ignore that, then what are you going to do? It doesn't make, no solution you come up with is going to work. And so the only solution to this problem and many of our problems in this country is to remove these people that have been benefiting from this. They have benefited from this. They've got cheap labor. Now it's more expensive. All right? They've been making money. I went into the Haitians and I interviewed them in the Haitian shantytown in Abaco. And they said the government people come and tax them, ask them for money, especially when an election come in. They say they pay them lots and lots of money. They have to pay for the permits and then they pay extra money. They are milking these people. This is big money for them. Can you imagine collecting $4,000 a year from these people? Bahamians have $4,000 to pay for nothing around here. If you come to Bahamians, but they ain't got it.
Let me emphasize what Lincoln
Make it
said.
quick. We have a call on the line.
I know. Cabinet is the citizenship board. Cabinet hands out citizenship. Don't look at immigration. Cabinet meets and decides who becomes citizens. And so individually and collectively is your cabinet ministers. When you see the amount of the size of the cabinet, I want you to look at all of them and understand that if they did not agree with the citizenship that's been given out or the amount that's been given out, they could have walked out of cabinet and handed their resignation.
All right, let's go to the caller. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. You need to turn on your radio, please, or whatever you're listening to us on.
You guys are doing a good job.
Thank you.
Is there anywhere that you guys could have somebody in the briefing room asking these questions, putting it directly to Clint or whoever answers these questions? Because it seems as if the other news media don't ask these questions. Like, it isn't getting to the general populace. Younger folks who only listen to our news and eyewitness news, they're not getting these topics. They're not interested in these things because they're not listening to the radio. They're watching the news when it comes on at 6 and 7, and that's it.
Don't have
these questions.
You have to demand it.
Thank you, Colin.
You have to demand it. You, the citizens of the Bahamas, have to demand that they come and engage us beyond the news. See, that's called soundbite governance. You have a right to sit down with your individual member of parliament or your government, who they call cabinet. But if you don't make that demand, and since you're making the demand, you could also make a demand on who you want to represent the voice in questioning them or engaging them. I have no problem in meeting with cabinet individually or collectively, the ministers or cabinet individually or collectively, and have a conversation of what's now, what's new, and what's next.
Listen, the time for conversation is over. Our country is in deep peril, and we need Bahamians to come now and stand up. And that is why we're going to have a town hall meeting this weekend, and then we're going to the government with bills to amend our Immigration Act to protect what we need to protect from anyone coming in this country, being naturalized and becoming prime minister of this country or governor general or having any senior position in this country. We're going to protect ourselves. We're going to protect ourselves from persons coming in illegally and their child having any kind of right, all right, whether it's perceived or not, having a right to become a citizen of this country. If you are illegal, we're not going to encourage or protect criminality because you landed as a criminal.
But going back to what that caller just said, the caller makes a very, very valid point. And I would like to personally, as somebody who's been in the journalism field for decades, I would like to throw out a challenge to my colleagues, the young reporters out there, to go deeper, dig deeper, stop becoming agents of regurgitation. You go in there, you listen to what they say, you ask one or two questions, and then you come back and regurgitate what was said. And we do have one or two journalists in this country, young journalists, who get it, who understand your role. But unless we get the journalists in this country to understand that we have a role to play, we are the storytellers, we are the historians for tomorrow. We are the ones who are responsible for getting to the truth. And one of the things that bothers me as a journalist is to see where you go and you ask one of the question and you ain't putting no pressure on nobody, you ain't digging deeper. Whatever they say, you just come and regurgitate. That's the problem. So that call
Yeah,
is on.
I've been speaking out against that for a very long time. It's press release kind of media. There's no investigation. That's why I got involved in investigating certain things and putting it out there. But you know what they're going through, Michelle. They just got this new job. They got pressure put on them. I was at when we discovered the coal mine in the back of the forest. All right, that was a big story. One of the news medias came there. Their young reporter, was there with us for hours. They showed everything. They was in depth. They had all of the footage. They did the interviews, and when it went back to their station didn't even cover that story. They didn't even play that. As big as that was, we found where the Haitians was making coal in the back there, and they didn't even play that. So it's not just up to the young media, it's up to all Bahamians now. We have something called social media. Young people do not, and that's the majority of voters, 70%, young people don't watch the news. All right? In fact, most Bahamians right now don't watch the news. You remember when you was young? You ain't sitting down 7 o'clock watching no
We
news.
want another time. I get it. Social media is, I get it, but social media is not.
I'm saying encourage people to become journalists. They can walk up and ask the questions too.
Yeah. We need we need real journalism in this country. Listen, guys.
Yeah.
I know time gone, but we only got a minute left, and I know all 2 y'all long-winded, so I ain't getting y'all no time to close out the show because we'll go past 4 o'clock.
Well, we just telling people come back within the next few days for us to continue.
Tomorrow we're going to be looking at solutions. My guests include still confirming some others, but Branville McCartney has agreed to be on the show tomorrow, and I'm working on some others as well. Guys, I really appreciate y'all being here today. Thank you so much for being a part of the show, but we got to get out of here because it's almost 4 o'clock, and that's my time. Until tomorrow, I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thanks so much for tuning in to GPS. Don't miss tomorrow's show. It's going to be a good one. Take care, everybody.